One. Hello, Facebook. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pivot to Greatness series. It's all about mastering, tapping into your greatest power when the shit hits the fan with some of our most amazing and greatest teachers. So today I have Renee Li. Hi, Renee.
Hey.
Can you hear me? Good. Sometimes we just have to check the acoustics and make sure that the universe is letting us run this show. Awesome. So just wait a minute and let people join. And awesome. Okay. Some people are liking things on Facebook, so this is great. Welcome, everybody. Join us. Let me just send a comment. Today, we're going to talk about the key to manifesting your soul purpose like a master. Doesn't that just sound awesome? I love when you said that to me. I'm like, yes, let's do that. Let's talk about that. Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
Okay, so I posted. Cool. Yes. Okay. All right, everybody. We're just going to get started. All right. So as I mentioned to you guys, and you saw that I posted a little snippet of what I posted on your page, because Renee has been so just incredibly invaluable to me personally. And she's one of my personal mentors, and I've done your VIP day program, and I just learned so much that I was like, Renee, you have to be on the show. I have to talk to you. You're like one of the best masters and best mentors for people to get in touch with. So it's really just a pleasure for me to have you here and, to participate and to really just empower us and teach us. So thank you so much for agreeing to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so excited to be chatting with you and meeting your tribe.
Yes, this is my wellness tribe, my cool Rise to Thrive tribe and all that good stuff. All right, so let me just give you guys a little intro to who Renee is as we wait for people to join. Renee is a soul purpose success mentor, an intuitive master healer, and a best-selling author. And I've actually read her book, and it's amazing. You guys have to pick it up. We'll talk about it at the end. Her mission is to support the new generation of spiritual leaders and teachers in speaking their truth, living their purpose, and claiming success and abundance through their sacred business. And that's exactly what she's been helping me with. So thank you so much for that. She believes her clients, as a new generation of spiritual teachers, are here to help raise the frequency of the earth and mankind during these days of ascension. And you guys know I'm all about raising our vibes here. I'm constantly posting things about, raising our vibrations and really allowing that to help us attract more positive things in our lives and helping us to move forward in our lives. And Renee, you would be the expert in this area. And you've inspired me along those lines too. She's also an entrepreneur over 10 years. She's been featured in Mind Valley Academy, Omvana, and Soulvana blogs, Creations Magazine, The Edge Magazine, and the 2016 Coaches Summit. So, my God, I think you've been in so many places. That's so amazing. How do you feel about that? You're just like growing by leaps and bounds yourself.
Well, it feels good, right? It's just me kind of stretching my energies to see how much more I can grow in my business and on a personal level, just kind of increasing my visibility. Those different blog articles out there, it's gotten me a couple of clients. Yeah. So that's awesome. It's great.
That's fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So let's get started. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. You guys know my intro. I've worked with her for a little while now. And we've basically connected and now you're here. So I'm so happy that you're here. So welcome everybody. I think we've had a couple people joining us on Facebook. So hi everybody. I gave an intro on Renee, and you can also see it on the Facebook event if you want to see a little bit more about her. Oh, I forgot to mention, you're also a homeschooling mom, a crystal lover, and a freedom-loving traveler at heart. I thought that was so awesome. First of all, yes. Big props on homeschooling your kids. I mean, I don't know how you do it. Please tell me.
I don't know how I do it. one day at a time, always striking a new balance.
Seriously. So she's got 2 kids, right? You've got 2 kids, a girl and a boy.
6 and 4.
And I mean, seriously, I don't know how you do it with your kids and your business and your husband and everything that you do.
Well, like I see my kids as a God-given assignment, just the way that I see my soul purpose as a God-given assignment, right? And so I take both really seriously. And it's just, I'm not going to give up on either, right? Like they're both equal priority to me. And so I just trust that Mother Mary works with me a lot with the children. I just trust that I get what I need to strike that right balance, right?
I'm constantly calling the gods, like, please, God, help me with this child, and I only have one. Anyway, side note, I just thought that was a really cool thing that you added there. Okay, so one of the questions I have for you, and I ask folks for the purposes of this video series, is about pivoting, right? Mm-hmm. So what have been the pivot points, that you can name one or a couple if you have, in your personal life that sort of nudged you in the direction of being your most authentic self and giving of yourself in the way that you have and are continuing to do right now, and really just help people in this field and in what you do?
Well, I think the biggest pivot point, which got me aligned with this sacred work, really happened around 6 years ago, right after the birth of my son, my first child, right? Mm-hmm. So prior to that, I was already in business for myself, but I had a database consulting business. And it was great. I was very passionate about it. I was a total data geek. And, it was making me the money. Everything was going really well. The passion was there. And even within the database consulting work, I was still teaching. Like I knew since a very young age that I was meant to be a teacher. Since 4th grade, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, that I had these gifts of like seeing things in many different ways so that I could relay it, communicate it, teach it, in a variety of ways so that people really get it. And so even in my database consulting work, training end users was my first love. Just being in front of that room and training end users, right? So I felt like I was already living my purpose. I really felt that way. And I was working with within the nonprofit sector. So these amazing organizations like Renee Li and Human Rights Watch and Seeds of Peace and International Planned Parenthood. So I really thought this was my life purpose. And then I had my son. And all of a sudden, I had this like buzzing energy in my body. And I couldn't shake it. And I couldn't even sleep at night. And it was just like, it was gentle, but it was just slightly uncomfortable enough to like prevent me from sleeping some nights. And I said to my husband, I just need to get to the ocean to see what the message is. For some reason, I'm not getting the spirit message clear. And after a couple of weeks of like trying to get to, Coney Island and not being able to, I'm here in Brooklyn, by the way, in New York City.
You're in Brooklyn today?
Yes, I'm in Brooklyn. That's where I live. I'm in my home. And, one of the advantages of working for yourself, you get to work at home. Yes. And so my husband said, go, just book a trip to Atlantic City and we'll just do it. So I went, and luckily my son at the time was sleeping. So we just transitioned him to the hotel room bed, and I went right for that chair in the corner. I sat down, I meditated, and I immediately saw this big styrofoam hand, kind of like from baseball games, right? The giant styrofoam hand, like pointing down, and then the word Reiki getting spelled out. And I intuitively knew that it meant go learn it for yourself and become a healer and not just get a Reiki session done. Right. And that was really a huge pivot point, because all of a sudden the passion for my database business just shut off like a switch. I was so passionate about database, and all of a sudden it felt like work. The first time in 10 years, my database projects felt like work. And I straddled for about 1.5 to 2 years. I was like, gosh, well, even though this feels like work, and my heart is all of a sudden getting pulled to do more healing work and to start being a spiritual teacher, it's like, how do I segue, right? And still have that security. Yeah. And so that was a bit of a struggle in the 2 years of straddling, but that was my pivot point. It was that message, and then my decision at the end of that 2 years of straddling to go all in with my soul purpose. Like those two are the bookends to my pivot point that got me here.
I love when you talk about straddling two gigs, because, you know, you and I have talked about this a lot, and so many people do this even now, right? We're sort of like, oh, well, this other thing I do, it's kind of like a side gig. It's a hobby, but my day job really helps me pay the bills, but their passion and their heart really is on that other thing. They're just not really focusing it. They're fearful or whatever reasons they have. So what have you noticed is, you know, maybe one of the major patterns or things that have really prevented people from just doing it, from moving forward and just taking the plunge, you know?
Yeah, well, two come to mind, but the first one I'll talk about is the fear of the unknown, right? Because that's where I was during my 2 years of straddling. It was like, well, how am I going to replace this income with my new business? Like, I needed to know. Like, I wanted to lay it all out in like this 20-step plan, you know, and that's part of the part of me that's a bit of a control freak. Like, I just need to know, and I need to, you know, have this guarantee, like, is this going to work, right?
Right.
And so it was that fear of the unknown that really kept me in the straddling between the two careers. And I'll tell you, towards the end of those 2 years, my knee, I think it was just the one knee, I forget which side though, one knee started to give out, and it was so painful. I couldn't even walk up the steps on the subway. And I also couldn't bend down to bathe my son. And at that point, I think he was like 6, 7 months old. And it was scary, right? Like, I had never felt that much pain. I was like, maybe, what was I, 30 years old then? And I was like, I'm only 30 years old. Why am I having such pain in my knee? And my mind was like, okay, well, maybe it's the marathon I ran. Maybe it's a runner's knee. And then I realized when I kind of bumped into my Reiki master and I told her about the knee pain, she kind of took out this huge book. I think it's called Bruce Groening. I think that's his name. Huge book. And she went through and she looked at me and she said a bunch of things. But when she said the fear of walking into the unknown, like, that landed solid for me. And I was like, whoa, like, that's what this is about, right? Yep. It's this fear of like walking into the spiritual career, and I have no idea what it's going to look like. I have no idea when I'm going to break even, right? If you're going to look at it from a money perspective, I don't know. I have no idea. And so that's what the knee was about. And when I got that clarity, I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to let this fear break my body, right? And I just really have to trust. And I had to let my ego go as well, because that's what the knee is. That's what Louise Hay says about the knee. It's your ego. And my ego is saying, hey, look, as a consultant, you're at the top rung of the ladder, right? You're making good money. You've got the right circles. And in the new career, I got to start from the bottom rung of the ladder. And that doesn't feel good. And that's not going to look good. And I may not wear my suits anymore. I was attached to my suits. You know, and it was like, you know, my in-laws think they respect me because they see my suit, even though they don't know what I do. And so it was letting go of the ego and letting go of this fear of the unknown, which really aligned me, right, with the proper next steps, which got me to where I am today.
Yeah. So wait, you said the fear of the unknown, and what was the second one?
So the second one, which a lot of people get trapped in, is the fear of not being good enough. So many times when you try to discover what's going on with you, why you're blocked, why you're stuck, you get a lot of surface level stories before you get to the root of the real root fear. So the root fear is feeling like you're not good enough. And the surface level stories that we're more familiar with our consciousness is the energy of comparing yourself. So if you're on Facebook and you're Googling like different spiritual teachers, Louise Hay, Doreen Virtue, you know, Colette Baron Reed, and you're going, oh my gosh, like, I feel like I want to teach that, but who am I to teach it if that person is teaching it, right?
And you're never going to get to their level, right?
Right. And so you're comparing, right? So this energy of comparing really paralyzes so many aspiring spiritual teachers out there. And so that's really rooted in the I'm not good enough. Right? When you're comparing, that's really what we're saying. It's that I'm not good enough. And so the one thing that I teach my clients and my tribe to get over this fear of not being good enough is to really shift your mindset to see how unique you are and how every single individual is so unique and so special, right? Like you can't compare yourself to another spiritual teacher because you're going to be teaching through the lens of your own life and your own personal story.
Yep.
When your students and clients, those that you have sacred contracts with, when they find you and they hear your story about self-love, let's say, for example, they're going to really hear it and get it at a cellular level, the way that they did not when they heard Louise Hay talk about it.
Right.
Right? So when you get the right people in the room and you're sharing yourself, you're going to get people going, oh my God, I got chills when you share that story. Or they're going to, be brought to tears and go, you really moved me. Like that really helped me to heal or look at something or, and so what's really happening there is that you are working with their cellular body. That's why they're getting the chills. That's why they're feeling something more deeply than they did when they heard another spiritual teacher say the exact same thing. Right? Yeah. Because you're sharing it through the lens of your own story, your own healing journey. They're getting it. And so you're really healing them at a cellular level. But only you can do that. So this is what I mean when I say you're so unique and you're so special. There are people out there that are waiting for you to shift them on their journey, to help them move along their journey. And they can't do it without you, right? So instead of holding yourself back and saying, well, there's a million other teachers teaching self-love, instead of comparing and holding yourself back, I would invite you to really shift your mindset and own the fact that you are so special. You are so unique. All that you have mastered, and it is mastery, right? Like your healing journey, all the lessons that you've anchored, that's your mastery.
Absolutely.
You start there, right? And so when you start sharing that, then your students, it's like the little radar goes off and you tell the universe, I'm ready. Like I'm sharing my story, I'm ready. And so the people that need to hear your story start to get that signal and they come and they find you.
Absolutely.
So the fear of comparing paralyzes you, and then the mindset shift of owning that you're so special and unique and nobody can rock your student's cellular body like you can. When you can get that, then you can really stand in your power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And take forward action.
And I have to say, part of the reason I started this Pivot to Greatness series is because these pivot points in our lives teach us. And those are the stories that we're going to impart to these people we're going to teach to, right?
Yeah.
You have your story, and now so you're empowering other people with your story. That straddling story totally hit me. Mm-hmm. It's my story, right? So I get that story. And so who knows how many other stories you personally have and moments in your life that you can, impart to other people to teach them that they can get through that too. And then they can go out and be unique and teach whatever they want in their personal way, right?
Yeah. And, the consciousness level, right, like you and your tribe, the consciousness level that you have right now, along with the life that you've lived, all the different experiences that you've cultivated, that together, your consciousness level and everything that you've mastered in life, that together is not an accident, right? So I believe that you guys are here right now to step out, stop hiding, step out and start sharing your story to help those that are just a few steps behind you. Yeah. And only ever will that be the work, is to help those a few steps behind us move further on their journey.
I love that. That just gave me chills. Because I feel like we're all here. We're all, this tribe that we formed, your tribe, the tribe that I formed in this group. We're all here really to help each other. So yeah, so we're here to share our stories, to, impart, our knowledge and just help people grow in whatever way that we can, and I love what you said about the energy levels too, because I do feel like as you grow, right, even over years, you get more level of awareness, your energy levels are higher, so you start attracting different people and you start opening yourself up to more possibilities and like all these different things start to happen, right, over time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And there's no right or wrong with the sharing, right? Like when you're just sharing your story, there is no right or wrong. It just is. Like, this is your story.
Right.
And that's what authentic is, right?
Yeah.
Which is the group.
Exactly. All right. Everyone who's on, please feel free to ask questions at any time. We have Miss Renee here, ready and willing to answer any questions that you might have today. Okay, so how do you feel that you've mastered this, this soul purpose success, as you call it? How do you feel that you've mastered it? I know it's obviously there's been so much knowledge that you've acquired through all the experiences that you've had, but how do you feel that it's all culminated, if you will, in this moment?
Yeah, and for me, I feel like it's been an accelerated journey. Like, within 3 years, I am here with, offering live retreats and having 5-figure clients and being more visible than ever, like just within 3 years of going all in as an online entrepreneur, right? So I think the key really has been surrender. At a glance, maybe some people don't realize that I work a lot with spirit because I talk a lot about like business and sacred business. But I'm a spiritual teacher first and foremost, and everything is energy, right? Everything is energy. The table that we're sitting in front of is energy. It's just molecules and atoms constantly moving. Everything is energy. And so when you want to attract the success and the abundance through your sacred business, you've got to get your energy right to attract that energy, which is called success and abundance. Otherwise, if your energy is low, let's say your autopilots are kicking in and you're self-sabotaging yourself and you're feeling like you're not good enough because you're comparing yourself or you're in the fear of the unknown, that low energy is a mismatch to the success and abundance, right? You can't call it in because it's not a match.
Right.
And so everything is energy. And so for me, understanding that my business breakthroughs happen when I have personal breakthroughs was key. So always working on yourself to get to sit in the right energy in order to allow success and abundance to come in.
Yes. Absolutely.
And part of that right energy is surrender for me, like surrendering to my spirit guidance, like I did when I shared that pivot point story, right? Like really saying, okay, so spirit wants me to start learning Reiki. So I started learning Reiki and the spirit said, no, like learn all the levels of Reiki, like now. And so I did it all within a span of like 8 months or so, 8 months to a year. I was certified in Asui Reiki, Violet Flame Reiki, and also IAT. This went against like the consensus in the Reiki community that you should space it out a year apart.
Right, that's what they say. That's true.
To integrate. So I had to work through that fear of like, well, what are people going to say? Right. But in the end, I had to honor my own timing. Like, and when spirit is pushing you, for me anyway, when spirit is pushing me, it's like, I can't not do it because it doesn't sit right with me and they'll just keep nudging sometimes. So, but the whole point of that urgency was for me to catch up to where I needed to be and to start teaching. Because even though I do healing work at the IM level, just for my clients, I don't do healing work for the general public. I had to just kind of get those tools to remember on a cellular level what I'm capable of and who I need to be.
Yeah. And Reiki was a stepping stone for you to open that channel for you, right? Like that's what it was.
That's what it was for me. It was Reiki level 1 and kind of understanding my gifts and my abilities. That opened all of my gifts up. Some gifts that I kind of got a peek at when I was younger that I did not experience for about a decade. It came back up after Reiki. Yeah. So that was like a door opener for my gifts.
And I just have to pause you there because this is like so important. There's something that I talk to people about, which is, what did you really enjoy when you were a kid, right? Or what do you remember was so important for you when you were a kid? And this is an example for you. Like you remember these moments that you had when you were a kid and you kind of forgot them. And then suddenly they resurfaced again as you were an adult and suddenly you had to go and, learn Reiki and it was sort of like a sprint rather than a marathon, but that's okay, right? It just kind of reminds me of those moments when you're a kid where that's when you're most energetically in tune, right? When you're a kid and you're open and you're free and, so I always have people go back and remember those times and then speed up, right? What happened since then? Okay, there's a pause for you particularly, but now you're back and you've been called again to sort of reach out to those, innate things that you had access to before, but you kind of like lost along the way. And that's okay because that was part of your personal journey. And that opened up, that sort of lag opened you up to now more opportunities, more experiences, right?
And I think the key is really to honor your gifts, honor the timing, and honor your calling, right? And in that honoring is also surrender, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's really been the key to unfolding, to my soul purpose success unfolding at the rate that it has over the last 3 years.
Yeah. And surrender and timing is so interesting, right? Because you could have easily said Reiki. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'll do that in whatever. I'll do it later after I've made a couple more thousands of dollars or whatever the case is, right? Because you're so engrossed in the whatever you're doing. What were you going to say?
Mm-hmm. Well, how many times do we do that, right? Like how many times do we say, okay, spirit, I hear you, but let's wait 3 more months.
Right.
Right. And then we end up like negotiating with God. But there's a cost. There's a real cost to it though, isn't it? And it could be on a physical level like it was with me and the knee. Sometimes it still is. Or it could just be an emotional cost, right? Where you just start to feel dead inside and you're like, well, what am I doing? And there's no more light inside and you don't feel excited about life and there's no more wonder and awe, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would just, invite your tribe to really check in and be like, well, what spirit guidance have I been putting off?
Right.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
And then go back to it, connect with it, and then honor it.
Yeah. And I guess we can talk a little bit more about guidance because you call it spirit guidance. It could be whatever, some positive, energetic guidance, whatever you guys want to call it. Everyone feels it to some degree. For me, there was no talking in my head or anything like that. But I definitely felt it energetically. Like I felt in 2008, I need to stop working at this job. I'm miserable, right? Like I knew I had to do something else. When I discovered massage therapy, I was like, this is it, right? Like it was like a physical, spiritual, mental reaction I had. And those are things that we need to start watching out for. Like what are the reactions that you're having in your environment that are either bringing you toward it or pushing you away or, those kinds of things, right, Renee?
Yeah. And you do feel it, don't you? Because, like you said, you kind of like knew it on all different levels. That was like your cellular body, which is not just your physical body, but it's your whole energy body, kind of like saying, hey, this is a milestone marker. Like this is what you need to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's a great tip to just really check in with your body, check in with your intuition at every step of the way.
Yes, I'm such a big advocate. I talk about intuition all the time. I'm like, trust yourself, right? And that's part of authenticity and authentic living, right? Mm-hmm. Being in touch with yourself, with your body, with who you are, your mind. What are you thinking constantly? What's happening to you on a consistent basis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for your stories. I want you to go into a little bit about the key to manifesting your soul purpose like a master. What does that mean and how can we get there too?
Yeah, so there's a soul purpose success formula that I was given by Spirit July of last year. Mm-hmm. When Spirit told me to start working with spiritual teachers specifically. So just so you know, that this is another pivot point, a major pivot point in my career where Spirit said, hey, that was great. I was teaching the general public how to connect with their spirit guides. And now they were like, that's complete. Let's now move on to helping aspiring spiritual teachers get out there in the world and show up, right, in a big way so that they could be the powerful leader that they're meant to be. And so when that spirit guidance came forth, I created a beautiful free challenge called Speak Your Truth and Live Your Purpose. And in the middle of that challenge, were you in the live one? I think you were in the live.
I think I was, yeah.
It was like the minute before day 3's video. I'm taking my notes and then I get this download and it says right energy plus right action equals soul purpose success. Right energy plus right action equals soul purpose success. And the key is that this formula needs to be worked in that order. Because if you sit in the wrong energy, which is low vibration, your autopilots, your self-sabotage patterns, if you're sitting in the wrong energy, that's low vibration, and you take the right marketing actions, you're not going to get the right results that you're looking for. You're not going to get the successful results, right?
Right.
So you really have to look at your energy, evaluate the energy that you're in, and get super honest, like brutally honest where you are, and there's actually 6 components to the soul purpose success formula. So for the right energy part of the formula, there's 3 components, which is mastering fear, owning your power, and then being receptive to divine downloads from your divine blueprint. Those 3 things will sit you in the right energy so that when you take the right action steps, and the 3 components to right action are visibility, increasing your visibility, offering a premium package, premium, offering pricing, and surrendering. When you sit in the right energy, then you can take the right action and get the amazing results that's, meant for you. You'll get all your right clients coming your way. So, and they actually correlate to each other. So the 3 components to right energy correlate with the 3 components to right action. When you master your fear, then you can increase your visibility and get out there more, show up in a bigger way. When you own your power, then you can start to raise your prices and get to the point of creating a premium offering.
Right.
And when you are receptive to divine downloads, right, connect with your spirit guides, get your energy right, create that stillness within you. When you create that space and you start to get divine downloads, then you have the opportunity to surrender to that. And so when you sit in the right energy, then you take the right action and you put yourself out there in the world, then it's magic. Then it's magic. And now what are you doing? What is the definition of soul purpose success anyway? For me, it's walking your highest path. Walking your highest path, standing in your truth, and showing up in the world in a big way as a powerful spiritual leader that you are.
Right.
So that's the formula that was dripped into my consciousness last year, but it's so perfect because that's exactly how I've been living my life, this journey, with the sacred business over the last 3 years. So that just goes to, to kind of echo our point earlier about how we teach what we've mastered. We teach like our life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even if you haven't completely mastered it, there are the steps to that, right? And you can teach those because we've all been through that, right? We've all sort of inched our way into manifesting what we truly desire. And that is teachable. You can help people with that journey too.
Everybody's a master, right? Like you're a master on some level. Absolutely. And you don't have to feel like you need to complete anything. You don't have to feel like a master to start teaching it because your journey, so there's always going to be people that can relate to your story. There's always going to be people that are just 2 steps behind you,
right? That
are in it. And even though you're not fully out of it, but whatever that experience is, whatever that trauma is, even though you're not fully on the other side of that healing, even if you've walked that journey and have felt empowered along the way, you're going to help people who have never tasted that power yet.
Absolutely.
Because they're still stuck in that trauma, you see.
Absolutely. That's so amazing. I love the way you, what you said, I posted it here. Right energy and right action equals your soul purpose success, right? Because you really do have to align yourself, right? If you're constantly living in fear and self-judgment and all these other things, it's just not going to happen because you're never going to be in the right place. Even if the goal or the next step is right there, you're just never going to see it because you're not, there yet, right?
And then a lot of entrepreneurs, they quit 5 minutes before their big break, because they're not sitting in the right energy and they're self-sabotage. It's like this vicious cycle, right? Like you'll put yourself out there and then your own negative self-talk will cut you down and be like, well, who are you to do this? And then you try again. And when this repeats, it's like, your spirit gets a little bit deflated, right? And then you say, well, maybe it's not meant to be. But that's not true. You weren't aligned in the right energy. So this inner work of getting real intimate with your fears, knowing yourself, knowing your MO, like knowing what your autopilots are, that's like inner work, that self-reflection, that practice of getting brutally honest with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Like, what's going on? What are my autopilots? Why do I do this? What am I really feeling? What's the real pain down there that is like, making me feel scared and running my life, right?
Yeah.
That inner work is everything. Yeah. It's everything. And for me, that's self-ascension. Yeah. That's, even without the soul purpose.
It feels hard sometimes.
It's not comfortable, is it?
No.
Yeah. And, when you get brutally honest with yourself, like you could find yourself being pretty ugly. It's like, oh my God, I was doing that so I could feel powerful. Like I was putting people down so I could feel powerful.
Right.
But you've got to see yourself like perfectly clear in order for you to make a conscious choice to be something other.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And one of the things I learned, in which you mentioned one of them, is we often feel like we're not enough, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing might be we're not loved, right? That's what I learned in coaching too. And so when you put either of those in the mix, you tend to self-sabotage and you do all these things to, sort of screw up and trip yourself up. So it can be tough, but shining a light on it, right? Being authentic, understanding what your points are, and those things are so important.
Well, it's important to understand how the ego works, right? So the ego is all about proving yourself right. And so if there's a part of you inside that says, look, I'm not good enough, or look, I'm not loved, whatever that is, you're going to subconsciously create experiences that are always going to prove you right and go, hey, look, see, I told you you weren't good enough. I told you you're not lovable. Like that's the whole job of the ego, is to prove itself right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so the key is to really take power away from the ego and the fear and to see it for what it is. Like this is what has been holding me back my entire life. I say I'm dreaming of that success. I say I want that great relationship in my life. I say I want this and I want that. But unless you're willing to do the inner work, you're just kind of, like pretending you want it. Do you see?
Absolutely.
And that can land a little bit difficult for some people that are not familiar with the inner work. I understand. But really, on some level, you're either courageous enough to do the inner work, to claim your dream and the success that you want, or you're comfortable in your safety box, you're comfortable in your vicious cycle, and then you're just pretending that that's what you want.
Yeah. And by the way, other people can feel it from you too. They can feel the energy and the vibe, and you're not progressing and you're not, right? All those things that can be felt. Can you repeat the 6 components you said? Right energy and right action. What are the 3 and the 3?
Yeah. So under right energy, it's mastering fear, owning your power, and being receptive to divine downloads from your divine blueprint.
Yeah.
Really that spirit connection, right? Yeah. And then for the right action part, it's increasing your visibility, creating a premium offering, because I really don't feel like soul purpose success is, you don't get soul purpose success from just giving your services for free or charging, $10 for your workshops, right? So increasing your visibility, premium offering, and surrendering to your divine guidance.
Absolutely. Really good, Renee. Love it. Okay. So is there something that you could sort of recommend for us to start practicing? Like, what is one thing we could start doing right now that can sort of get that going?
Yeah. Well, you know that I'm a big advocate for affirmations, right? Like I'm a huge believer. It's really what created my large shifts in my life. I guess these are more mini pivot points in my life. Affirmations, it's really what created those shifts for me. And so what I would suggest for your tribe is when you're stuck in the energy of comparing yourself, right? And sometimes it's like mindless, right? You just scroll, and there's this self-talk in the back and you're not even aware of it, but you're feeling it. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to decline that opportunity to go speak at an event, right? And so what I would invite you to do is put your hand to your heart and just affirm, I am special. I am unique. And no one can rock my student's cellular body like I can. I am special. I am unique. And no one can rock my student's cellular body like I can. Because it's truth. It is so truth.
I love that. And no one can rock my cellular body like
my student's cellular body. No one can rock my student's cellular body like I can.
Love it. I'm writing this down here for everybody to see that. I love that.
Yeah,
I love affirmations. Yeah.
We've all had that experience, right? Where we go to hear a teacher speak and we get chills. right? Like, and all of the spiritual teachings out there, the self-love stuff and the past life regression stuff, the universal laws, right? The law of attraction, all those things are not, they're not new. They're not new. So many teachers before our generation have taught it, and so many people within our own generation right now are teaching it. And none of this stuff is new. But when you teach it from your own life mastery lens, then your students are really going to get it.
Absolutely. And also you're meant to speak to a specific audience, whatever that audience is. You know, it may not be the same as Doreen Virtue's audience, right? It's whatever you were meant to address, whoever you were meant to address. So absolutely, they'll be there to hear you and hear your message. That's awesome. Thank you, Renee, for that. I love affirmations. I have my vision board in my room, and I have my affirmations right in the middle. I see it when I wake up. I see it when I go to sleep. And I've also, I think you and I talked about this, about doing like audio affirmations. I've done audio affirmations for myself, and I repeat those, or I hear those whenever I'm feeling like I need to hear it. Awesome. So there's so many things you can do with affirmations.
You know what I used to do? One of the secrets to like my, like the success of my first career was I used to use affirmations on the train ride into the city. So again, I'm in New York City and all my clients are in Manhattan. I live in Brooklyn. So that 45-minute train ride to the city, I would be just, mindless mantras in my head. So for me, there's no feeling. I don't have to feel anything. I just kind of chant it, whatever that affirmation is. I just kind of chant it in my head. I'll fall asleep to it on the train. I'll wake up and that's the stop I need to be at. And then I feel so empowered when I go see my clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can use affirmations in so many different ways.
Well, and the great thing about that is that it becomes like subconscious, right? It's your subconscious mind hearing the messages now, which is even more powerful than your conscious mind.
Yeah. And so what's really happening, if we're going to articulate what this work is about, is you're reprogramming your core matrix. So within your core matrix, you have these limiting beliefs that say, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, who am I, I'm nobody, or I'm worthless, right? Those things are living inside the cells in your body, like literally, it's scientifically proven. And so what you're doing with these affirmations is you're reprogramming the cells in your body to take on this new belief and replace the old one.
Absolutely. I mean, and the more we say those, the better. Even if you don't believe it, that's what I forgot who said it. I think it was Oprah. Even if you don't believe it, just keep saying it because you're subconsciously reprogramming your body to believe it eventually, right? Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So I hope that you all online got a little snack of Renee. So you can go and check out the cake, the full 6 components of what it is to have right purpose success with Renee. And like I said, I mean, I can certainly vouch for her and the success that I've personally had. This is all about the key to manifesting your soul purpose like a master. So Renee, where can we find you? Where can we reach you? And what are you offering? What's the programs that you have currently right now?
Well, my website is reneeli.net. Li is spelled L-I. And what I have right now is a mentorship program where I really take people through the soul purpose success formula and also hold everyone accountable as well through the 6 months. I also have a VIP alignment day, which is what Teany worked through with me. But I would just love to see more and more people who are ready to step out and live their purpose. I would love for them to join my free challenge. So I have this beautiful free 5-day challenge called Speak Your Truth and Live Your Purpose. And it's really proven to be this energy shifting 5 days, really. So if you wanted to go check that out, you can go to reneeli.net and learn more about that free challenge.
So remind us, the free 5-day challenge is to raise your energy?
It is to help you get super clear about what has been holding you back in your life. And on about day 2 or 3, you're going to get to that energetic point where you're ready to self-reveal. You'll be ready to self-reveal what that real fear is that is holding you back in your life and your sacred business.
Yeah. I remember doing that 5-day challenge. I'm like, yes, I have my notebook. I'm a notebook person. So I was like, yes, Renee, day 2. Yes, I get it.
Awesome.
It was awesome. Okay. So everybody, it's free, the 5-day challenge. I've done it. It's fantastic. Get a little notebook, write things down. Any little bit of self-reflection, you know, understanding, awareness, anything that you can get. I mean, you will get it from this. Just asking the right questions, right? Isn't it just like asking the right questions?
Yes, but also, I mean, it's like a sacred container within itself, right? So when you say yes and hold the intention that you're going to start speaking your truth and living your purpose through this challenge, then things just going to open up for you and the right memories will come to surface. The right triggers will come into your life if that's what needs to get healed. Really, everything works out perfectly. And it's all because you've said yes to your soul purpose success. And so you just have to see it through. Right? This is what I've said yes to. Things are coming up in answer to my yes. I will address each one and complete this challenge and get on the other side of this journey.
Yeah, and saying yes, I mean, that in and of itself is such a great, positive, energetic word, you know? Saying yes opens you up, right? So. Awesome.
And at the end of the day, really, soul purpose success is just a string of yeses to your divine calling.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay, so find Renee on reneeli.net. Are you on any social networks, social channels that you can be reached at as well?
Sure. So if you are really ready for soul purpose success, you can join my group on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Om Wisdom. The name of the group, actually, I just changed the name. You know, it's a long name. It's called Soul Purpose Success or Bust, the New Generation of Spiritual Teachers.
So do you have both groups, Om Wisdom and the other one, or did you change Om Wisdom to?
It's just the one, and the URL is facebook.com/group/Om Wisdom.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, Teany.
Find her on the group, Om Wisdom. Awesome. I'm so excited. Okay. All right. So we just completed the key to manifesting your soul purpose like a master with our master, Renee Li. And thank you so much for joining us. And I just love being in your presence just because you have such a high vibe. And this group, as you guys know, is all about high vibes. So if you wanted to be around someone who could really inspire you and push you and just take you to the next level by sort of decomposing everything that you've been sort of holding yourself back from, this is the moment to do it with Renee. So thank you so much, Renee, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on. I love your interview series here.
Thanks.
You got great guests on.
All right. So find her on reneeli.net and also find her on Facebook at Om Wisdom in her group Om Wisdom. And I will catch you guys very soon. This is the Pivot to Greatness series, and this is your coach, Teany. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.